Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at how to troubleshoot a contactor. Now there are a couple of components that can fail on a contactor. We're going to go through how to troubleshoot each of those. So the first component we're going to look at is the coil. There's a couple of ways to test that. The first test we're going to do is to check the coil resistance. Now in order to figure out what value we should be looking for, you're going to want to look up the spec sheet for your contactor. So for this particular one, it's a CA7-16-10. And if we look at the spec sheet, it tells us that the coil resistance should be 115 ohms. So let's go ahead and test that out. Now you want to make sure that you have no power applied to your panel when you're doing this. And let's bring our multimeter over here. We're going to set it to resistance, and we're just going to put one probe on each end of the coil here, and let's see what we get. 114.5. Now that's quite close, so that tells me that this coil is in good shape, at least as far as this test goes. Now if that value is really low or really high, for example, if you see it's open like this, that would indicate that you have a faulty coil. But this one is reading just fine. So the next test we want to do now, we're going to test with power. So again, you want to look up your coil voltage in this case. So this one runs on 110 or 120. So let's go ahead and apply voltage. You're going to see the plunger pull in, and we're going to set our meter 2 volts AC. Make sure you're not testing for resistance there. And let's check across here, and we've got 120, so we've got the right voltage, and the plunger has pulled in, so that is working as it should. Now if you test and you have the right voltage across your coil, but the plunger is still not pulling in, now that likely indicates that there is an issue with your coil. Okay, so for the next test, we're going to be testing our contact resistance. So again, you want to make sure there's no power on your panel, and we're going to move our multimeter to ohms. And what we're going to do is check the resistance across each of these contacts, so from the line side to the load side. So one probe on each side, and you can manually push this plunger in. You may not be able to do that on a safety contactor, but you could do that on most contactors. So let's go ahead and see what that gives us. So we've got about 3 ohms there. So what we want to see is as close to 0 as possible. It's jumping around a little bit there just because my hands aren't steady. There we go, about a couple of ohms there. That's exactly what we want to see. So you're going to want to check across each of those contacts, as well as our auxiliary contact. Let's check that one as well. And we've got less than 1 ohm there, so that's good. You could also set your multimeter to continuity. So we're good there. Good there. Good there. And we're good there. All right. So now for the next test, you can test the contacts when you're live. So I'm gonna get the coil powered up and the plunger to pull in there. So now you want to set your multimeter to volts. AC is most likely what you're using, but that'll depend on your application. And now what you want to check is to check phase to phase across each of the 2 phases, or phase to ground. And what you're looking for will depend on your particular configuration. If you're running a 600 volt system, for example, you're going to want to see 600 volts phase to phase. We don't have a high voltage applied in this case, but you'll want to see 600 volts face to phase across each of these two phases, or 347 phase to ground. And what you want to do is make sure you have the right voltage across the top three terminals. And then if you have your voltage there, check for the voltage underneath, see if you have it there as well. If you see it on your line side but not on your load side, and that could indicate an issue with your contacts. If you're not seeing it at all on your load side either, then that could indicate a different issue in your panel. And if you found the video helpful or useful, please be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for tuning in.